Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We have a little bit of a different setup today, and just let me know if you can hear one voice, no echo right now. If you can put it in the chat, if my audio is good, and I'll get the second speaker in a moment. Okay, one voice is great. Okay, now let's see. Aaron, do you want to say hi and see if you can? I mean, and maybe can you hear the second speaker?
Hey everyone. Sorry for the technical issues this morning, but we'll see if we can make this work.
Can you hear the second speaker? Okay, can't hear.
All right, can't hear me, huh? All right,
I can, I can try to figure this out. Give me a second.
Yeah. Okay. Just verifying that I've got my microphone all set here.
Perfect. Can you hear Aaron now?
Oh, I'm okay now. Somebody said I was.
Yeah, that's Aaron. It's better now. Perfect. All right.
Wow.
If there is any echo, anything happening, just let us know.
Regs, what did you do?
I am a genius. All right. Let's go with it until it doesn't work again. Um, all right, so today we are here to do our e-commerce workshop on React, Spring, and NoSQL with Apache Cassandra and some Apache Pulsar thrown in. Welcome to our workshop. As we're going to have some NT and things like that going on in a moment. All right, moving on.
Yeah, I suppose it's worth mentioning too that this won't be our typical e-commerce workshop that we run. It's actually one that kind of covers parts from all four of the previous e-commerce workshops that we've run. So you'll kind of get a good overview of everything that goes on that we've done in all four of those sessions. This is also going to be a very similar talk using a slide deck that I just, from a talk I just gave at ApacheCon last week, which is why we have a little bit different theme than we have in the past as well. So,
Okay.
all right.
So can you guys still? Oh, everybody's complaining it's very far. Let me see if I can do anything about that.
Probably still something with the audio, huh?
No, I didn't change anything. Let's see. Just one second. Let me see if I can adjust the audio a little bit.
Huh. Yeah, my voice is evidently fluctuating a little bit.
Okay. And fluctuating compared to Rex's voice. Okay. Aaron, can you talk again once more?
Sure. I could talk all day about this stuff if I had to.
Yeah.
Okay, well, someone says it's better now. I mean, that's a plus.
All right.
Well, I suppose I can at least give you the background on this slide. So a lot of folks have wondered about the title of guerrilla tactics for building up scalable e-commerce services, and the idea is that if you're not working for a large enterprise, where you're not working for like a Walmart or a Target where you have 800 or 900 engineers all working on different parts of an e-commerce website. Maybe you only have a team of 3 or 4, or maybe it's even less than that. So the idea is that you have to be a little smarter with how you approach things. to make sure that you're doing things right, you're doing things quickly, and that you're really getting your value out of the tools you're using. And I added a Cyberpunk 2077 theme to this just because it's a similar approach. For any of you who have played the game, that's kind of how you have to approach situations in the game. If you drive over to the north side of Night City and kick in the front door of the Totentans and start taking on all the Maelstormers in there, you're not going to last very long. So the idea is you kind of have to take a smarter approach to solving problems and working through some of the obstacles in the game. All right. So, hey, Rags, this is you.
All right. My name is Raghavan Srinivas. I go by Rags. For whatever reason, people have a tough time pronouncing my name. So I just go by Rags. I am a mechanical engineer by education, and I like these hands-on labs because this is the closest you can come to see things move. So which is really exciting. And you will see today, it's not just about us talking, you're going to learn by doing. I love to teach and communicate. I have a big passion of the inner loop for development, and Kubernetes has made it a lot easier, but it's still, eons away to making it happen. So this is a constant effort, to make the inner loop much faster. With that said, Aaron.
Yeah. Hey, Riggs, here's a thought. Is there a way for you to adjust the avatar placement in Zoom so you can put you and I on top instead of on the side? I wonder if that would work a little bit better.
Yeah, we could try that.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Yes. So, as you, I hope you folks in the chat have noticed, my name is not Adam. Although, like Regs, a lot of people have a hard time saying my last name. So I typically don't, I typically don't have folks mention me by my whole name. But my name is Aaron Pletz, and I'm a developer advocate at DataStack, just like Regs is. I also host the Apache Cassandra Corner, which is a podcast. So if you you're using Cassandra on-prem or out in the cloud and you have a great story for it, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. I was a, former engineer at, places like Granger and Target. So I've worked a lot of, oh, hey, I love podcast is amazing. Well, thank you so much. I was just going to say that, I have a lot of experience working in large-scale e-commerce. My days at Granger were more than 10 years ago now. So yeah, I've been working in Cassandra for quite a long time. And I've written a couple of books on Cassandra and other distributed databases as well. So yeah. All right. Well, I think we're going to start off with a little get-to-know-you bit on Menti, huh, Regs?
Yeah, it's really about kind of trying to understand the audience, because that makes a big difference, right? So let's go with, just give me a second before I bring up Menti. All right, I'm going to go with Menti in a second. All right. Give me a moment. I should be all right. Okay. So you guys know how this works. Let me actually, maybe Aaron, you may not be able to talk right now, but I guess it's okay. Yeah, I think you should be able to.
That's a good point. Okay. Anyone here?
All right. Okay. So.
I found someone new now. I have more.
Back to the video.
Yeah, that's my problem. Okay. So the code is 29084156. 2908-4156. Okay, so go to menti.com and please use your mobile phone. That's easier. And just enter this code, or you can use the QR code as well. All right. Okay, the very first question that we ask, and the very exciting question, is where in the world are you from? It doesn't have to be precise, but put in a dot to where you are. I can see some dots popping up already. Very cool. 3 from India, quite a few from the US, from Ireland maybe, or UK, or I'm bad at geography. This is very cool. A lot of Canadian people. Mexico, Argentina.
Wow, that's awesome.
Man, they like you in Argentina, Adam. All right. I can't remember if we have had Argentina before, right? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, somebody in London. We just had a Cassandra Day in London yesterday.
Oh yeah. Did you get a chance
Yeah.
to attend? Is that Amelia 415? I mean 514. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Well, anyway, yeah. Oh, and of course, lots of folks from India. Hello, everyone. Thanks for staying up late for us.
I missed the Cassandra London, but we're gonna have. I think we'll have a pointer to the Cassandra Days, right, where you can get all the information from there. But let's move on. Thanks for letting us know where you're from. Next question. Where are you really from? What background? Let's see. TypeScript. Not a developer. No worries. Even if you're not a developer, as long as you're willing to learn, you will learn a lot. I myself, when putting up these workshops, I learn a lot. But there are a lot of Java programmers, exactly kind of what we thought, right? There are a few Python, there are a few front-end JavaScript developers. Any other comments, Aaron, that anything jumps out here?
Usually when we play this slide, it's Java and Python running away with it. So I'm kind of surprised that Python's, holding back a little bit, it looks like.
Yeah. I think it may be because we put in Spring, right? In the
That could be.
promos,
That could be. Yeah.
Aditya says mostly all Indians would be Java developers, quite likely, but we are all over the place. What can you say? All right, next. What's your experience with NoSQL databases? Have you ever used it? Never used it, which is what we expect quite a few of you. So don't worry about it. I know Aaron can dive very deep into Cassandra, but he's going to keep it a little bit high level for today's workshop because we know that we always get a lot of people that pretty much know NoSQL. I need to say this properly. With no NoSQL experience, right? So even those who have a lot of experience, that's and a master, one person, right? Got to watch out. I think you will all learn from this. Okay. So as we expect, some people have used MongoDB, and which is fine. There is always some use cases for MongoDB, but you'll see today, why Cassandra is probably suitable for certain use cases. All right. Any comments here, Aaron, before we proceed, or should we proceed?
I would just add that last week at ApacheCon, it was filled with new people. Normally when you go to ApacheCon and you're around a lot of the folks who have been in the ASF for a really long time, it's a lot. Again, it's a lot of people who have been there for a while and not a lot of new people. It was at least half new people.
Yeah.
And even in the Cassandra track, we had so many people who were like new to it. So it's really good. It kind of feels like there's a little bit of a grassroots youth movement going on in Cassandra right now, which is really exciting. I think, so.
Yeah, and I think Aditya brings he brings up a question, which is, are we going to use reactive Java here? And Aaron, you want to address that right away, and I'll move on to the next slide.
We'll get to that. But the main thing is that the Java here is going to be focused mainly on Spring Boot, a little on Spring Data, And I'll cover this in the, we have an image with the tech stack in just a second. But the tech stack is mainly Node.js, React.js on top of, Java Spring Boot, Java Spring Data, and then of course, AstraDB and Astra Streaming. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, Aditya, put in a reaction if you want or whatever. So this question is based on the previous series we ran, 4 of them. And today we're going to compress all of them into one, right? So it is going to be interesting. But again, sometimes we get this question about, can we do this ourselves? And absolutely, this is meant to be something that you can do on your own. You'll see the instructions. If you just put a #GitHub on, and I'll do that myself right now, you can get the instructions to follow along. All right.
Yeah, and if you haven't been to one of these before, that's quite all right. You'll find that we do have good detailed instructions in there for you to do this on your own or follow along or whatever you like. So.
All right. I know we have a lot of stuff to cover. I don't know if you have any more questions on the get to know category. Hopefully not.
I think we can get going.
So keep this open because we will do a quiz later. So don't close Menti yet because the quiz is even more important, right? There you have an opportunity to win swag and all that. Okay. So with that said, let's proceed with the presentation, and I'm going to bring up Zoom again. Not quite sure. All right. So.
Oh, it's me. Oh,
yeah.
There we go. Okay. All right. Okay, so as you can see, looks like it's asking you if you want to leave the meeting, right? There you go. So just a quick, overview of our agenda today. We're going to look at, some of the architecture components to what we're doing. We're also going to talk through the use cases that we're supporting. We'll cover data modeling for those use cases, as well as a little bit of like service design and some of the code that goes into that. As well as in the end, we'll cover, is there music going on?
Yeah, let me. I will take care of that.
Okay.
Thank you for the attentive audience. Really, I appreciate that.
Yeah, good. And I was going to say too, at the very end, we'll have some things around streaming using Astra streaming for that, and then of course we'll have like a demo hands-on portion as well. All right, but starting out, I see a thanks. That must mean you got the music.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, I was just going to say, this is the tech stack we're working with today. So as you can see, we have our services and backend all kind of written in Java, relying on a lot of Spring Boot, a lot of Spring Data. The Spring Data Cassandra driver actually, is what's going to do a lot of the talking to DataStax's AstraDB. It can also pretty seamlessly connect to Cassandra as well. On top of everything, that's where we're going to have, we have a quick website that's big shout out to Chris Wilhite from DataStax. I mean, he really basically built the entire front end that you're going to see himself using Tailwind CSS, so that's React with some Node.js on the front end there. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to cover today. The only other portion is that we have a secondary Java batch process that is going to process our orders among our or I should say around our business and our warehouse, so to speak, for buying things on the e-commerce site. So you'll see that as it comes along. All right. So of course, the database that we're sitting on top of is Apache Cassandra. high read and write performance, distributed. If you're thinking about things in terms of distributed systems, it's what's known as an AP system. So it's focused on supporting high availability and withstanding things like network partitions. And of course, the trade-off there is that is consistency. But yeah, we have what we call eventual consistency, which, to be honest, eventual consistency is pretty good. You don't notice it. The good thing about Cassandra is that it is linearly scalable. So if you have a cluster, say it's like a 6-node cluster, and you're able to get 10,000 ops a second through it, well, if you need to get 20,000 ops a second, you know that you can just double the size of your cluster to 12 nodes, and you should be able to accomplish that. Already talked about high availability, but really kind of the main thing that I think Cassandra is really best in class at is that geographic distribution and awareness. The cool thing is that, you can have like a user on a mobile phone on the East Coast talking to a local data center on the East Coast, and you can have a user on the West Coast talking to a local West Coast data center, and those data centers can be kept in sync by Cassandra. So that's very, very useful in terms of having like a business model or paradigm that kind of spans multiple geographic regions, and you can run that all on basically any cloud provider, any platform that you can cook up. Yeah, I did a podcast episode with Sarma Pittapalli a while back. In fact, I think he's on the chat here. But he made a comment where he's like, Cassandra, no matter what it is, over time it just runs, and it runs no matter where you put it. Because the original days of Cassandra, we all ran it on bare metal. And then there was the trend to virtualize it. Then there was a trend to put it in the cloud. Now it's all about putting it in Kubernetes, and I mean, Cassandra just runs anywhere. That's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just gonna add that Cassandra was there even before the cloud, and really,
That's right.
scaling kind of became a popular thing, with the cloud, right? Because you can suddenly have you have access to a lot more resources, right? But really, Cassandra was about commodity hardware, and I think Aaron alluded to this. It's not anything new, but at the same time,
Nope.
it's has a very robust ecosystem, and nice to see that there'll be new things that are going to be happening, especially with asset transactions coming, and so on. So a lot of things to look forward to. But from a Java developer perspective, I think about it as like a distributed hash table, really. And the
Right.
platform takes
Right.
care of everything, partitioning it and all that. But I won't steal the thunder and let Aaron talk about that.
No worries, Rags. No worry. So, the way that we're going to access our data backend is going to be through Spring Data Cassandra, which has some. The good thing about Spring Data Cassandra is it makes it very easy to quickly build like backend services. So, you get easy access to connection properties through that application YAML. It reduces a lot of that boilerplate code, which is required to do things like connect to your cluster, specify your key space, specify all of these other things, kind of build and prepare out queries. I mean, it takes care of a lot of that for you. And likewise too, when you build out your Spring Data repositories, you get access to a lot of great simple default CRUD methods like save or find by ID, and things like that can really help you out. And like I said, in terms of being smart about how you're using your resources and how quickly you can build out, yeah, Spring Data Cassandra does a great job helping you out there.
Aaron, do you, for the one person who was not developer, do you want to expand on what CRUD is? Basically, it's
Oh,
create,
of course.
yeah, create, read, update, and delete, which we kind of take for granted, but
Right.
maybe just keep that in mind going forward.
Yeah, you pretty much said it there, Regs. Yeah, create, read, update, delete. It's really just about supporting simple operations on your database is really what CRUD is. Yeah, yeah. All right. So I should admit that before I came to DataStax, and before I was kind of shown the the good things about Spring Data Cassandra by Cedric. I actually used to have a bit of a love-hate relationship with it, and it was more hate than love, to be honest. But the truth of the matter is that not all methods in terms of Cassandra with Spring Data are created equally. And when you look at things like count or find all or save all, you kind of have to think about what those might be doing on the back end in terms of the CQL that really goes into them. And I know I'm working with a cyberpunk theme here, but I actually have, it was easier to put together Return of the Jedi memes for this slide. Just, kind of a word of caution. Just again, be careful what you're using in terms of, delivered methods in Spring Data, in that it really can come back to bite you if you're not too certain about what you're using there. Obviously with a count, well, hey, that sounds great. We have this convenient little count method. Well, anyone who's tried to do a select count star in CQL knows that that's really not a great idea. And it's likely going to time out. Similar with find all. And then of course save all. I mean, on its face value, save all isn't that bad. If you're taking like 4 or 5 records and saving them all, I mean, it's going to do that in batch behind the scenes. The problem comes in is where if you're taking 4,000 or 5,000 records and trying to save those all at the same time, the Cassandra cluster underneath is not going to react well to that. So the idea is just give some thought to, what's really going on underneath when these operations are run.
Yeah, I think the simplest way is that there is no silver bullet in software engineering, right? And just
That's
looking
right.
at those two pictures there, it's a love-hate relationship, right? I'm not going to say which one love, which one hate, but in any case, with Spring Data Cassandra, precisely. Just be careful. Yeah.
I have to tell you, I actually made that bottom meme of Mon Mothma there. And it so reminds me about a time I was supporting a large cluster, and it was running in Kubernetes, and seriously, like a third of the pods just up and died because somebody ran a really, really terrible query and also like set the timeouts really high, hoping it would complete, and it did not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, many containers died to bring us this information. Yeah, that really happened. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this presentation is really about what you need to do, but also what you shouldn't be doing, right? So I think that's great tips.
Yep. All right. Another piece of this too is that we're going to be relying on Apache Pulsar for our publish, subscribe, event-driven streaming. It's a really great product. It does that all in one. And it's designed with the cloud in mind. Kind of the cool thing about Pulsar and by proxy ASTRA streaming is the fact that it is also geographically aware. So it kind of has that aspect of it built into it. It makes it very similar to kind of how Cassandra looks at things like logical data centers. Pulsar is also highly scalable. And again, if it notices it has like kind of a partition that might be a little hot, it can do some automatic rebalancing of that. And if you start getting into Pulsar functions as a way to kind of do some ETL on your messages mid-flight, the library is actually very, very good. And if you look out in DataStax developers, we have several 5-minute videos on how to get started with and use Pulsar. And the one that was put together on Pulsar functions is very, very good. So yeah, highly recommend taking a look at that.
So, and those of you who attended our previous ecom workshops, I think we had this only at the last installment. If you didn't attend the last one, we do have information on that, and you can try that out. It's at the very end.
Yep, for sure. So, of course, we've talked a lot about Cassandra and a lot about Pulsar. And for those of you who aren't terribly familiar with us at DataStax, this is just kind of a little definition around the tools that we're going to be using today. So essentially, AstraDB is a database as a service that's built on Apache Cassandra. One thing that we hear a lot of in the Cassandra community is how tedious Cassandra can be to operate sometimes, and especially at very, very large scale. And again, having worked at a place where we had a few hundred production clusters and more than 10,000 nodes, I can tell you that when you have a team of 4, that's a lot of work. So you either get really, really good at automating, or you end up hiring a lot more people. But the easy way around that is to use a database as a service, kind of like AstraDB, where you'll get that automatic no touch scaling to kind of help you out there. And then Astra Streaming is essentially kind of the same thing with Apache Pulsar. Cloud native data and event stream, lets you do pub sub, lets you quickly build out things like namespaces and topics. And you'll see later, it's very, very intuitive, very easy to use. And we actually do have a portion at the end that will rely on Pulsar and Astra Streaming.
So, Aaron, there's a great question on YouTube. And by the way, please feel free to put questions on the YouTube chat, because that's the only thing we will be answering right now.
Right.
We even have the great David Gilardi, answering the chat questions.
I did see David in there.
Yeah. So, does Spring Cassandra have any paging with secondary index? You may want to address that right now, right?
That's a great question. I have to say I don't know for sure. It sounds familiar, like it might, but yeah, that's one of those things that might require some Google foo to get an answer for there.
Yeah, I know our native drivers do support paging, and you can do paging, and there was an example that we went through last week, where you can do paging. But how does it manifest in Spring Cassandra or Spring Data? Really, is a good question.
That's a great point, Regs. In that Spring Data Cassandra does have a dependency on the DataStax Java driver, so I would assume that it could use the paging mechanism there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it might warrant some investigation, but my gut is telling me that yes, it does support paging on that.
Yeah. And do you want to address secondary indexing as well with respect to Cassandra in general?
Yeah, I went back and forth on having a slide in here on secondary indexing, and ultimately I opted to cut it, and I realize now I should have left it in there. But I can tell you with secondary indexing, it's definitely not a perfect solution. The idea is that whichever node gets the query becomes the coordinator, and it ultimately does have to talk to every node in the cluster to see if there are any values that match that secondary index condition. So that's the problem with secondary indexes, is that they're really not very performant. There was an engineer at Apple a while back that talked about how the sweet spot for secondary indexing was, if you're looking at like the cardinality of what you're trying to pull back, and it's equal to like the size of your cluster in nodes, that's usually the sweet spot for it. But yeah, in general, I do recommend against using a lot of those.
Yeah, I think Karthik had a question. How does this workshop actually help the beginners? I'm going to address it very briefly. There is a lot of learning here. You will learn by doing. Okay, moving on.
Yep. The hands-on portions will kind of walk you through a lot of that. So yeah, and of course in the GitHub too. We have step-by-step instructions out there that anyone should be able to follow through. So, all right. And speaking of which, hey, we can jump to our first hands-on portion. Regs, did you want to take that maybe?
Yeah, I'll take it. I'm pretty much ready for that. So.
Excellent.
All right, so let's go with that. Okay, so basically what I do is I start with a GitHub link. And the GitHub link is right here. If you can't see it, I'm going to keep this up. But what you can do is...
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, that'll be great. And all that I do is follow this from the top to the bottom. Pretty straightforward, right? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create an ASTRA DB and streaming instances. And then what you're going to do is, you can really use anything for the database name, as you can see here. You're using demos, but you can use workshops, especially somebody who's used this before. If you already have a database name, you just need to create a key space name called e-commerce. Okay, and what is a key space? A key space is just a logical grouping of tables. Nothing fancy. Once you created the key space, then you're going to plug in some of the database related stuff and obviously the name of the key space as well. And the instructions will tell you how to do that. To be able to create one, all that I need to do is go to, click on the Astra link. I think, you can follow this guide, or you can just click on this, and it'll take you to that link, and you can create the Astra account. Okay, so if you haven't created it before, I'm just going to go to and if you follow the link on your YouTube, you can get there as well. Okay, so I'm going to sign in. You can put it in a new tab, new window, whatever works for you. Okay, sometimes I use different browsers, just to make things very clear. And then all that I need to do is put the name of the key space, really. So I've already created this. So if you look at, like, for example, workshops, right, it has a bunch of key spaces. So if you've already created this, then all that you need to do is just do this add key space. But if you haven't, then just do a create database. Okay, if you put a create database, okay, it'll ask you for the database name. Okay, so demos, okay, and e-commerce. It won't let me do this, but essentially what you can do is you can pick any area of Google Cloud that is nearest to you, probably the easiest, nearest to where the users are going to be. And then one of the cool things is we have a $25 recurring monthly credit that you can use, I think forever, right? And you can run some significantly heavy production loads there if you're interested, really. Okay, so one of the cool things is you don't have to put a credit card, nothing, to get started, which is kind of nice. Neither for Astra, neither for Pulsar. Okay, so if you want to follow the instructions, okay, and get to creating a database, every now and then we kind of do a sync just to make sure that everybody is able to create a database or a key space. So if you get to that, okay, and there are a bunch of other things that you need to do as well, including creating a tenant, a Pulsar tenant. Might be easier just to kind of do it right away. Okay, so instead of database, you have a streaming and you create a stream, and then again, you have to name it. Here you have to possibly have something unique, and just kind of try to make it unique by adding your name or something like that, and then you'll have to create a few topics, and we're going to use some of these topics today. But my suggestion is, before we get to this create your schema and all that, can we see a couple of thumbs up that you're able to create? It's asking you for payment. I think if you pick Google, you'll be fine. So we have done a couple of things.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
We have done a couple of things to make our spending a little bit less, and that's why we have kind of consolidated on the Google Cloud. But if you really want a particular cloud provider, of course, Astra is cloud agnostic. We don't really care, right, where you put it. But to be able to unlock some of the other regions, either you have to put in a credit card, or you can talk to the the person. They're always responsive by chat, and maybe you can kind of sweet talk them into opening it up for you. Okay.
Oh, hey, see a thumbs up out there.
Okay, one thumbs up. Cool. Okay. Constant learner. Constant learner, welcome back. I know I've seen you before. I chose GCP North America West, and I assume you had no problem. Rage Takeda, is that right?
I think Ray's the one who was saying he was being asked for payment, though. So
Oh,
that's
that's the one. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So, um,
I wonder if Ray, try Monk's Corner, South
yeah,
Carolina, or is it North Carolina? It's one of the Carolinas, but yeah, that one I know for sure is free.
okay. So let's see some thumbs up before we get started, or Aaron, give me the thumbs up to go ahead.
Yeah, I know that was a lot because we went through and
Right.
created database as well as a streaming tenant.
Yeah, so it's probably going to take some time. Even if you just created the database, just put in done with creation of database. That's good. Okay, let's give a little bit more time, like you said, because it's a lot. You know.
Yeah, you know what, Regs, you could pan back to me here quick, and I can walk through some of this too.
Okay. Am I going too slow or am I going too fast?
Yeah, the one in North Carolina is free. Yep, that's what I thought. Yeah.
All right, all yours now.
All right. You know what? Let me. Let's see here once. Expand that out a little bit, and I'll refresh in case it's going to yell at me. All right. All right. So again, just to kind of walk through this stuff live.
That's great.
If I can,
I think the problem has been resolved because it's if it has a lock, that means you have to pay for it. So thanks,
Yeah.
Ray, for pointing that out.
yeah, e-commerce, and I want Google, and let's say North America.
So
and
all the
Monk's-
locks over there are something that you need to pay. So just pick Monk's Corner. That's the easiest.
Yep, there we go. So if I create that, we should be all good here. All right, so it's creating all that. Oh, hey, and I have my token details as well. Important to note, make sure that you definitely download this because you'll need the token later on for sure. So I'll hit this download token details button. There we go. All right. Oh, so I can say go to database. There we go. And you'll see that demos is right here, and it's on its way up. Yeah, there we go. All right, so for creating a stream, let's do that too. So I'll say e-commerce, and I'll put my last name in here because I know my first name was in there already. See if I do that. Oh, it shouldn't let me do. I didn't think it would let me do that because it needs to be unique across I want to say it's across the region, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but yeah, anyway, let's go US East.
I mean, did you previously create it as ecom-aaron? I don't know if that's
I did, yeah. So it shouldn't have let me do that, but
yeah.
Anyway. All right, so that's it. Give it a tenant name and a region, and then let's just go and create.
So,
And
just
topics, the streaming namespaces come up right away, or tenants come up right away, I should say.
just a quick interrupt. Sai is asking, I forgot to download the token. No worries, just go create a new one. Okay.
Yep. Yep. That's
Not
how
a
it
good
works.
idea, but because you don't want to create unnecessary tokens, but still, if it happened, it happened. So just create a new token and you should be fine.
All right. And then the only other thing here is that, when we go to like our namespaces and topics, you'll see that we have our default namespace. That's the one we're going to end up using. And I'll just say add topic. And the first topic we need to create is for pending orders. And you can just leave it persistent and not partition, just like that. And then you say add topic, and bam, there it is. So that's one. The other one that does need to be out there is picked orders. Get that out there. And then once an order has been picked, it needs to go shipped orders. You can do that. And then the last one is completed. There we go. So when you're all done, you should have 4 topics in your default namespace that look just like this. And again, that's in the step-by-step instructions as well. So I just wanted to make sure everybody saw how to do that. So not that we were moving a little fast there. All right. So hey, moving on to use cases. So building an e-commerce website, there's a lot of pieces that go into that. And the thing is that, again, when you have a large enterprise and hundreds of engineers helping you out and all kind of working toward the same goal, it's easy to have things like, gift registry and loyalty programs and, maybe some recommendations as well. But the thing is that when you have a smaller team, you really need to focus on what's important. And, the main parts of this are definitely, you need to have products. They need to be, able to be found or navigable. A user needs to be able to log in and find those products and then add them to a cart and then ultimately check out and place an order. So that's really what we're going to focus on is these 4 use cases right here. For the product catalog, we have basically three data models or 3 scenarios we need to look at. That's, like product category, finding your products, navigation. There's the product data itself, which you can kind of see in that screenshot there, as well as pricing. And pricing is actually modeled out separate from the product data, and there are some reasons for that. Of course, we also have our shopping cart. And you can see with the shopping cart here that I've added my DataStax gray track jacket and my Apache Cassandra 3.0 contributor t-shirt. Really what I did is I went through my substantial wardrobe of Cassandra and DataStax swag, hung them up on the wall and took pictures of a lot of them. So that's how I ended up with a lot of these photos. Anyway, so if you look closely, there's like dog hair on them. That's probably why.
But with a Aaron Plutz autograph, it might actually be 1,000 times more, right?
I doubt that, right? But anyway, so we're looking at storing like data about each user's carts. Users can have multiple carts, and we will account for that, as well as the products that go into the cart. We need a way to kind of track that as well. So those are the 2 data models we'll be looking at there. User profile. So, hey, obviously we're going to store a little bit of user data. Users need to be able to log in and, have things like addresses and whatever. And, they also need to be able, or it'd be nice if they can just click a button and sign in using, Google or Facebook, or, you can even use GitHub if you want to. I know outside of maybe the attendance of this workshop, the Venn diagram of GitHub users and Walmart shoppers might look a little different. But I mean, if you really wanted to with an e-commerce site, you could have them do single sign-on with GitHub. Yeah. Actually, I think that's part of what we did for homework last time, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah. And point here is we are just leveraging Spring Security and Spring, SAML and all that. So really, I mean, if you're into it, you can. I'm sure you can use any site that really uses SAML if you want to, because like I said, we are leveraging Spring underneath, and whatever Spring can do, whatever SAML can do, really, you can kind of use it. We show an example. Using Google, but by all means you can use anything else.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, and then of course, lastly, we have the ordering system. Essentially, users will be able to place orders. Those orders will kind of work their way through the different business units. They can come back to the site and actually look at like the status of their order and things like that. So yeah, and we'll talk about some of the nuances with that as well. All right. I know I've talked about data modeling a bit here, or the specific data models we'll be working on, but let's have a look at some of those. So, real quick, for those of you who are new and haven't done a whole lot of like Cassandra or distributed data modeling, the idea is that with Cassandra is that you want to build your tables to suit your queries. Sometimes you'll have a table that's really only meant to serve one query, and that's okay. The idea though is that you get like faster reads. It's a simpler query model. You might duplicate your data a little bit, but that's okay. So kind of the way that people look at it in the relational sense is that if you're querying like employees and you want data on what department they're in, you'd like select from employees, interjoin on departments based on department ID, and that would return your data set. Well, with Cassandra, the way you'd think about that would be to have a single table containing data on both the employees and their department. So again, that's kind of how you'd model that instead of kind of normalizing everything out into like tables that aren't dependent on each other. All right.
So Aditya asked a question. Maybe I should address it right now.
Sure.
And I know Cedric is back as well. He can also address this. Is it better to create a custom JOT filter or JWT, obviously, or a token, or using single sign-on? I'm tempted to say single sign-on, but maybe I need to understand the question a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm not sure I fully I have a good answer on that either.
Yeah. No, basically what Spring does is it generates the JWT for you anyway, the token for you. So I'm not quite sure what what the the import of the question is, but let's keep moving. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So anyway, the main thing you need to know or need to understand about Cassandra data modeling is that the primary key is very, very central to having data models which perform well. And your primary key is actually made up of two components, a partition key and a clustering key. And you can have multiples of each. So you'll notice there that we have partition key 1 and partition key 2, and they're kind of separated by or enclosed, I should say, by parens. And then after that, we have comma separated of all of the clustering keys as well. Now you might be wondering what the difference is if you haven't done a lot of this. The partition key actually in Cassandra is what determines where in the cluster your data is stored. And it's actually required for proper and efficient routing of your query. And if you're actually running Cassandra on your own at maybe like at individual servers at work or at home, you can run a command called node tool get endpoints. And if you provide it with the key space, the table, and the partition key, it'll tell you which nodes that data is stored on. So it's pretty cool actually to kind of see that in action. So the clustering key, those are a little different. Essentially, what a clustering key allows is for data to be sorted within a partition. So essentially, it enforces an on-disk sort order. And the way that helps out is that it prevents random reads. It encourages sequential reads, which are much faster, and actually Cassandra kind of relies on. And the other thing you get with clustering keys is that you also get that row uniqueness. Where there are ways that you can. I'm trying to think of a good example here, but getting back to our employees by departments example, maybe we have you select by department and you get all of your employees, sorted by last name, but maybe you have some employees who have the same last name. So then you also add, first name in there, just to help ensure uniqueness. So that's a nice way to do it as well. All right. So of course, working in theory is great, but when you start getting in a large scale, there are definitely some nuances that come into play, which I'll just talk through here. In general, again, kind of the way you build your models is that data which you want to query together should also be stored together. So that's something to consider. And again, that goes back to that advice around building your tables to suit your queries. Consider, when you're trying to pick your keys, specifically like your partition keys, you want to make sure that they have a potential or a range that's very, very high cardinality. And the reason for that is you really want there to be, a lot of different values in your partition key, because that'll help with data distribution. On the other side of that, if you choose like a Boolean, as your partition key, I mean, that has a cardinality of 2, so that's not going to distribute very well at all. So, again, for your partition keys, try and consider columns for keys that are going to have a lot of values. That's the idea there. I've talked a bit too about no full table scans, because again, in a distributed computing environment, that's really not going to perform very well at all. And then ultimately, probably the biggest tip I can offer is to just try and keep things small. Keep your partitions small, keep your result set small. The smaller you keep things, the happier Cassandra is going to be.
Except the cardinality, correct?
Except what?
The cardinality, I meant.
Oh, well, yeah. I guess maybe, I mean small in terms of like right. Size,
No, I got it.
You can still have a high cardinality, value range, but still have a size of key that's like, 8K,
True. Good point.
Make Cassandra great again. All right. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, we're still talking about data model and kind of looking at how, everything is laid out. And, this kind of shows, a little high level around, how each of the data entities are related to each other, as well as a lot of the actions that kind of go into, how this all comes together. And when you really start putting diagrams like this together and thinking about, how you, how these things are all related, it helps you form your queries, especially when you start talking some of this through. In our case here, if we're going to look at the data model for the cart and start thinking about what we have to support, we're going to need to be able to query a user's active cart. We need to be able to query all carts for a user, and we should be able to view all products in a cart. And of course, we need to be able to add and remove products from an active cart. So when you start talking those out, that's when, these physical models start to take shape, where we have things like it comes down to a user cart table where, a user can have multiple carts. What they may or may not be active, but, the thing with inactive carts is that can actually kind of lead you to make it easy in the future to adapt that into like a wish list kind of a functionality as well. And then of course you have your cart products. Every cart has products that are inside it. Of course, in this case, we partition on the cart ID, but we also have like keys on like product timestamp and product ID. And again, that gets back into more of the like sorting and uniqueness strategy that I was talking about a little while ago. And when you start looking at it like this and looking at how that CQL is going to come together for table creation, we have our, this is going to solve our cart query, our cart products query. When I want to see what's in my cart, I'm clustering on timestamp. And if you look here closely, you can see clustering order by product timestamp descending. So the idea there is that the most recently added products are going to be at the top of the cart when I look at the cart page. Now, in your business, you may want to do something a little bit differently, but this is where you can actually enforce that and get it to perform well. And I also have a note on there about enforcing a TTL. That's actually something that was that came from experience. You know, I've been a part of an organization that was big enough to have its site, you know, kind of attacked by bots. And the idea is that these bots seem to go after what we called long-lived carts, and they would make sure that these carts had many products in, and the thought behind it was that perhaps they're, you know, kind of pooling some of our products together so they can easily like scrape prices or something like that. But anyway, the idea here is to use a default time to live, and that's a number of seconds. That's actually 60 days in number of seconds. And the idea there is that, you know, if I'm adding products to my cart and maybe I don't want to check out yet, I want to wait until I get paid next week, you know, I can come back next week and I'm still okay. However, if I add things to my cart and I don't come back for 7 or 8 months, I probably don't care what was in there. So it's about finding that fine line there, and having those carts kind of fall off after a little while, because those carts are avenues of attack. You know, by getting rid of those old carts automatically, you're actually lowering that surface of attack. So that's actually good. And then the other thing too is consider, you know, when you have your product ad service, to look at putting a rate limiter on it. You know, if you have, you're watching activity and you're seeing a cart that gets like 2 products added in a minute, I mean, that's probably a human. You know, if you're watching a cart and you're seeing 200 products get added in a minute, that's probably not a human. So that's where, again, you know, some common sense around, hey, what could a human reasonably do, would really kind of help save the system sometimes.
I was gonna say if it's 200, that's probably my wife, but yeah, anyway. But you know, one thing to talk about, you know, especially since you talked about next week attacks and all that, probably a good time to plug in our workshop next week, right? Where we're gonna actually look at a long-term password spraying attack and how
That's
you can
right.
solve it with Quine next week. So Aaron, you and I are going to be back again, but we're going to actually look at a practical use case of a password spraying attack. So if those of you are interested, you know, please come back again next week.
Yep, that's a good call, Riggs, for sure. All right, moving on. Now let's take a look at some of the data services that are behind here. Specifically, in this case, we're going to look at the services that were built around supporting user profile activity. So we have our gets, and our first one actually kind of is what gets hit when we have a user who does a single sign-on with Google. They'll get redirected to that RESTful endpoint. And likewise, you know, if we have somebody who just logs in, or we want to, you know, if we're in a situation where we're pulling data back by user ID, that's that second RESTful endpoint. And then, of course, it's also useful to pull, you know, user information back by email. So we also have an endpoint for that. So if we look at, you know, like user profile data specifically here, you'll notice that we have a password field, but it's hashed. I actually have a note to you know, go a little more in detail on that later. We also have addresses, and the idea there is that yes, your customers are going to have an address, you know, but maybe if your site is working in like the B2B world, or, you know, business to business, you know, your business accounts could have things like mailing addresses, shipping addresses, billing addresses, and they could all be different. So that's how we allow for, you know, that collection of addresses is kind of how we allow for that. And in this case, when working with like a user-defined type and a collection, it needs to be what's called a frozen. And the idea on that is that, you know, that whole cell underlying at the database level actually gets updated for everything every time there's a change. So it's good to use on data that doesn't change much. And if you think about it, how often do you change your address on a, on a site? Probably not terribly often. Anyway, so if we move on, I
So
kind of
one
mentioned that
question,
user-defined type. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead, Riggs.
and this is really, we have seen this in previous workshops. Is attendees ask, what is the difference between UUID and time UUID, right? Do you want to
Oh,
address that, and where time UUID might be more relevant?
yeah. So that's a good point. A UUID is sometimes called a GUID, and the idea is that in Cassandra and a lot of other languages, the standard UUID that you ask for is I believe it's a type 4 UUID, and the idea there is that it has a random component to it. So I suppose you could say that it's not deterministic. If you put in like the select UUID and hit that function, you're going to get a different one back every time. It should be unique. The difference between that and a time UUID, which is also, I believe, a type 1 UUID, is that a time UUID has a time component in it. And it can actually get to more precision than just using like an ordinary timestamp. So kind of the good news about a time UUID is that you have some more guarantees around the fact that it's going to be unique. Much less of a chance of people like creating like a race condition essentially happening around a unique identifier there. So yeah, I suppose the other thing too about time UUIDs is that you can sort by them as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's also useful. But there are times when really all you need is just a kind of a random like surrogate key, and in that case a regular UUID should do just fine.
Yeah, we had a workshop last week about to do where we use time UUID because you want to order the to dos based on when it was created.
Oh,
right.
Right. All right. UUID supports numbers, or what kind of types support it? They're actually their own types. I suppose I could. I could quickly address that question just by logging into. I know I'm taking a little bit of a deviation here. But I can answer that real quickly with a SQL console.
And the instructions to get to the SQL console is also in there, and you're going to get to it in a second.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead, Aaron. Floor is all yours.
All right. So if I do select UUID with a paren list, that's going to invoke that UUID function, and I'll say from system local. Now I'm not going to have a where clause on here. Because in this case, this is going to work that system local will only ever have one record. So if you need to do quick things like get a UUID or use one of those functions that are delivered in CQL, you can always query from system local with no where, and it'll give you back one row every time. Anyway, so this, as you can see, is a UUID, and I can tell from this first. Character, alphanumeric character in the, or I should say hex character, that's present in the like the third section here, a third octet. I don't know if octet's really the right word, but I give up. If that's a number 4, that's a type 4
Type
UUID.
4. Okay.
Yep. And
yeah, I learned something. I didn't know that.
Oh, you know what? It's not time UUID. It's just now. If I say select now, there we go. Yep. And as you can see, so number 1 leading that right there. So that's a type 1 UUID.
And can you do one more again? Just to.
Oh, sure. If I do now again, you can see that.
Yeah.
Are those the same?
No, but if you look at the first part, that's the time part, 9299.
Oh, I see it now. Yep.
Yeah. So now we are able to order, based on time. So if you do one more again, it'll probably be more.
Yeah, it should absolutely be. Oh,
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Well, Riggs, for a second there, the 2 and the 9 threw me off. I didn't see him, so yeah. Anyway, all right.
like I said,
Anyway.
just running these workshops, we also learn a lot, so that's cool.
Yeah, I thought the UUID function was throwing me for a loop there,
Yeah.
or the time UID. Anyway, so moving on. Here is user by email. It's very simple. It's just a lookup table for user ID. Essentially, is what it is. Kind of functioning as a manual index, if you will. And the idea here is that really, a manual index as opposed to a secondary index is actually a little more performant in the right use case, because here I have to make a trip to the user by email table and then a trip to the user by ID table, right? Whereas if I had a secondary index on it, I'm making a trip out to every node in the cluster when I want to look up by email, because I have to see, where those values match up, and you got to check every node for that. So in this case, a manual index is actually a little bit quicker. All right. Well, how about we jump to the README for steps 3 and 4, and I think this is about getting the schema set up and loading the data.
Okay. So you want me to do it, Aaron?
Yeah, why don't you run that one, huh, Riggs?
All right. Yeah, I'll give you a break. You've been talking quite a bit anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I can answer the question of why AstraDB over MongoDB.
All right, I'll let you answer the questions. But again, the idea is you go to the GitHub page, which has all the instructions, and we're going to set up the product data model, the shopping cart data model, the user profile data model, the order processing system data model. And the way you do it is you open the SQL console on Astra. And Aaron already did it, but let me do it again. Okay, so it times out after a bit. So I'm going to I'm going to go back in. Okay. And essentially what you can do is you can just click on this DataStax Astra, which will give you the dashboard. I'm going to say keyboard, no, dashboard. Okay, and then you click on the database where you have the key space defined, right? Make sure you have the key space, whatever it's called, right? Which is e-commerce, right? If it's defined. And then you hit this SQL console, okay, which is on top here. Okay, it should be inactive, otherwise, you won't be able to go there. But hit the SQL console, and you should see something like this. Okay, and all that you're going to do is you're going to use the key space by just saying use e-commerce. Okay, and I've already created all these tables, so you can it even does command, what is it called, command completion, or I know I'm missing something there, but basically it does the completion for you. And if I do the describe tables, you can see here what are all the tables here, right? Again, not a great idea to do a select star, because you're going to go to every partition to get this, but since I don't have too much data here, not a whole lot of data, I'll just do a select star from user. And you can see, I have at rags415gmail.com and at raghavan.srinivas@datastax.com. So these are the two users, right, who basically use the single sign-on to order stuff now, right? You can look at select, let's see, products, right? That might be star from product. That may be a little bit more interesting. Again, not a good idea to do select star, usually accompanied by a where clause, so that you can go exactly to the partition that you're interested in. And if anybody is getting a little concerned about my face being there, I can get rid of that, but hopefully it's not too intrusive.
I think you're good, Riggs. I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay, and this has all the information, and you'll see how to query this, in a little bit going forward as well. Okay, so once I have the SQL console, then what you do is you execute the following SQL script to create the schema. All that you're going to do is you're going to cut and paste this. Okay, and actually what we've done is we have basically we use Gitpart, which is going to come later in the workshop. We have actually set up Astra CLI to be able to use it. you can use that too. But for completion's sake, we just want to keep these instructions as well. So essentially, you're going to populate the data, right? You're going to create a bunch of tables, and always a good practice to say if not exists, because you don't want to blow away something that's already there. I mean, I think it'll come back and report that it's already there, but still, it's a good idea to do this. Okay, and then insert into product ID, what store it is, what value it is, and insert into product, what product ID, what product group, because you probably want to, look for T-shirts, look for whatever, right? All of that is in there, and then you can do a few select so that you can get the select. But now, how do I access it from my program, right? So to be able to do that, you want to create this ASTRA DB token. So to create the token is pretty straightforward. All that I'm going to do, if you already created if you created the database, we have a way in which it will create a new token for you, and you can use that information. But if that has already passed, you can create a new token and just go through the exercise just like this. Basically, you click on the organization, and you do organization settings, and go on token management, and then select a role. It's always a good idea to go with the principle of least privilege, but for this workshop, it's probably okay to use the database administrator and then hit generate token. And when you hit generate token, if you navigate away from this page, okay, you will see that you'll lose all this information. So what you want to do is you want to get this, but if you have, for some reason you did it, then what you can do is you can create it again. Okay, so once you create this, keep those things handy. Keep it somewhere, especially the token. I don't think we need any of the other ones for this workshop anyway. Keep the token handy, and then you can again go back to the database dashboard, to the dashboard, and if you click on these workshops, it gives you the database ID. This is something that we're going to use as well in this workshop. And if you click on the database, it will also tell you what region it is. So you'll need this as well. So you'll need the database ID and the region to be able to go to the database. And I think that's pretty much it. You don't need anything else. Okay. For Pulsar,
it'll become more apparent as we go along and we start using that stuff. That it'll come into play. But good point about making sure that they make note of a lot of that stuff, because we will need it in a little bit here.
Yeah. For Pulsar, what you're going to do is, again, you need the name. Remember, Aaron created e-commerce Aaron as a tenant, right? And then you have the broker service URL, which is Pulsar plus SSL. Okay, and then again, here you can generate a token. Again, copy that somewhere, keep it handy. Okay, because you're going to use this, along these lines. Okay, and there is a way in which you can populate this. But now, I can't wait to open my Git part. So usually what I do is I just click on this and open the link in new window. Okay, and if you open the link in new window, and whatever works for you. If you want a new tab, that's fine as well. It'll open up a new one, but I think I already have one open. So I'll just go back to that. So let me go to that. Okay, and this is going to take a little bit of time, maybe about 5-10 minutes. And I don't know why I'm getting irritated by my own face here, so I'm going to try to get rid of that. Let's see.
Yeah, let me see if I can start mine up here too.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Why don't you be ready? Yeah, just in case.
Oh, you're in there too. Outstanding.
Yeah. So I got rid of myself, which is good. and now it's going to take a little bit of time, and it's going to come up. Okay. There are a whole bunch of things you have to do to set it up, and I've set that all up. Okay. I'm not a whole bunch, but at least putting the tokens in there and all that. And just to give you an idea, if you have never used Gitpod before, you can ignore this configure runtime, and you can ignore most of these warnings. Okay, so they are not really. And then finally, you'll get README. Okay, so now you will see a terminal window. This is where we do most of our jobs. Okay, it's just another Unix on the cloud, right? And then there is also a Visual Studio code, and all of this is available in GitHub. And the nice thing is that it's already has an access, or it has downloaded the code from our repository. So if Aaron made some change about 2 minutes back, it's taken that all that. So you can see git remote -v, and if I do a git status, it'll. So I use it just as like a, what do you call it? I use it just like a git terminal, if you will, where everything is clean and so on and so forth. Okay. All right, so I've done that. The one of the things that it asks you to do is to make sure that you have populated the application.yaml. Okay, and here I've populated it with my. I have to populate this change me. I will do that later. But here is my application token, which is AstraDB token, AstraDB region, and so on. I mean, this is all done for me. I mean, I don't need the Secure Connect bundle, but it's there. But let's go back and look at the env.example. So this env.example is the one that you're gonna populate. Okay. And let me go back because I have this already done before, so just easier to just go with that. Let me see if I can pull that up. Hopefully this is the one. That's the one with 3 changes. So let me get rid of this. All right, and go back to this. Okay, so again, it's going to take a little bit of time. Okay, but let's look at the instructions in the meantime. So basically, it's Visual Studio code in the cloud, which makes it very easy. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to copy .env.example to .env. You open the env and plug in the, the database ID, the region ID, the key space, and that's it. The key space is already populated for you, so you don't even need to worry about that.
That should be okay.
Yeah. So the DB ID, the region, the app token that you got from the token, and then the stream tenant from Pulsar, stream URL, stream token. You don't need to do it right now because that's only the last exercise, but I suggest, it's easier to kind of do that. And once you do that, you just source the .env so that all of these environment variables are available. And remember, these environment variables are available in the configuration for Spring, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my unit tests. So let's go and see if it's almost ready. It's almost there. And in the meantime, what I can show you is that I have populated my env. Okay, so my env has all the appropriate values that's needed. Okay, so all that you do is copy this env.example to .env as required and then plug in the values. Okay, so let me clear this. Okay, and now let me run the tests, and that will be my test to see that I've set up everything correctly. Okay, so just follow along, whatever. It just makes it a lot easier just to follow along. Sometimes I try to take shortcuts and it comes back and bites me, so I just follow along here. Okay.
No, I hear you there.
So what I'm running here is I'm running the connectivity test, and you can kind of look at the okay, so I have a problem here. Astra DB ID. Okay.
I can't tell on there. Do you have did you rename env example to env?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Oh, I did not source it? Maybe I didn't.
Yeah, because let me think. Yeah, the sourcing only happens when you run the start.shell.
No, I think there is. Okay, let's see. Okay. All right. So I run the env. Okay, and now when I do the env and I grep for Astra, it should be in there.
Yeah, there should be a whole bunch of stuff in
Yeah.
there now.
So you can see here ASTRA stream ID and so on and so forth. Okay.
There we
So again,
go.
let me clear this and let's see if this works now. Proof of the pudding is whether I did it right or not. Okay. So this is why you run the tests. You want to make sure that you're running. And now, of course, if it fails again, I may have to go to a different workspace. But hopefully they should be a little bit better. So you can see here, it's using Stargate client. It's plugging in all the right stuff, and you can see that I got back my key space. You can see here my key space and the different product categories. Okay.
Hey, excellent.
All right. So once you run this, you are pretty much good to go. I'm not going to go through all the tests because they kind of do the same thing. Kind of go through, exercise all that. I can enable my social login. Okay, and I'm going to do that right now. Okay. So I'm going to copy this link. Okay, and I'm going to go to my Google. Okay, Chrome. And I'm a man of many tabs, as you can see. And
Yeah, it's
let's
like
see.
console.cloud. Yeah, there you go. I
And
think that
I'm datastacks.com, which is cool. Okay. All right, it's going to take a little bit of time. Okay, and I go to ecom. Okay, and essentially what I have to do is I probably have set this up already. Let me make sure that I have the right one here. So go back to my Git pod, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what URL this is. Okay, so all that I need to do, all of these instructions are in there. Okay. POP2, something like that. Okay. So let me go back and see if that I've set it up. POP2. So I've set this all up. And again, you can just go through the whole thing. Just make sure that instead of HTTPS, you use HTTP because what we are doing is we are using internal. Okay. So I think we have set up social login correctly. The proof of the pudding again is always when it works, right? So let's go back and check that out. So I think I'm good to go at this point. Let me go through the instructions again. Okay, I've set up social login. Okay, I've done all that. I've gone through the steps. I've created the OAuth, set it all that up. And now if I do this curl localhost, you're going to get a connection refused because I haven't started it yet, right? So you'll have to start the application, and we have provided a very simple script called start.sh, right? So I'm going to run that. All right, so go back here, it doesn't matter. And if everything is working, okay, and you can see here, if I spell it, did I need to increase my font? I didn't even ask. Maybe I can try
maybe a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see, basically I'm sourcing the env just to make sure that everything is working, and then I'm going to start it with Spring Boot run, okay, which goes into backend, and that's pretty much it, right? So let me start it by just invoking the command start.sh and keeping my fingers crossed, and we'll see if everything is set up. Anything you want to talk about, Aaron, while this is coming up?
I could just add that, it typically works better if you have a, if you have an existing set of credentials set up out in your Google console there, to just go ahead and create new. I've found that, especially with GitHub, you have to keep that unique URL updated. It somehow recognizes it faster if you create new versus editing one that's existed.
Okay. Good
So that's a tip that I've picked up through a little bit of a trial and error there.
Okay, no problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go try to access the the web page. Okay, and all that you need to do is again click on GP URL 8080, copy that link, and put it in. Okay, it should come up automatically. Sometimes it's, and there is my website. Okay.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, it's very cool, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do login. Okay, and if everything is working again, it should log me in as. Okay, so that's not working because ecom sent an invalid request. I will try to fix this while Aaron is talking. I know there may be something that I may have gotten wrong, but I'll take a look at that. But in the meantime, if you follow the instructions and like what Aaron suggested, it might just be easier to basically start new, right? So I will try to fix this in the meantime. So even if you don't do that, you can still put in an order. So let's try that. Okay, let's go back again. And I'm gonna order. What am I interested in today? Products. And I can take a look
grab
at
a hoodie. Why not, right?
Yeah, let's go with hoodie. Yeah. And I want the vintage 2015. Aaron, are you going to ship this to me? I want a large.
Well, we could try. Yeah.
Add to cart. Okay. And if I go back to my cart, oh, that's not good.
Huh.
Okay. All right, one of those days, right? Let me try to. Maybe it's related to the login because I tried to log in, I think. So let me try to fix that. But Aaron, you want to take over and see if it works better on GitHub?
Yeah. I'm working on I'm trying to get mine going as well,
Okay.
and it seems like mine is also throwing a fit
Okay.
on
All right, we can fix this. Let me see if I can get the GP URL. This is correct, and I'm gonna go back to Google and see if I got this right. Let me trash this and add a URI and make sure that I'm using HTTP. Okay.
Oh, it just means modified, huh? Okay. Yeah, my I seem to be having an issue with the single sign-on as well.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Okay. All right. And what I'll do is I'll make sure. Oh, I should have done that before, but let me do this. I'm going to reset the secret. Okay, so if I do reset, usually it provides me with a different secret, which I'm going to use and plug it in and hope that that's going to work. Okay, so I have to go back to my source, main, resources, application to demo, and plug in the correct Google ID and the secret. The ID should stay the same. So I'm going to plug in the secret, which is right here. Sometimes it requires a secret to be refreshed. All right, so I'm going to go back to here and plug in the secret. If it's different, then there is hope. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Right.
okay. So now I've done this. I'm going to kill this and restart because it's always a good idea, right? And I'm going to start it. And I'm going to fight it too much. If it. So now it should have nothing in here, right? It's still coming up. Okay, which is fine because 8080 is not found yet. So the moment the service comes up, you should be able to see that. Okay, so the service up, and now we should be able to see it. Okay, so let me try to log in, keeping my fingers crossed here. Access blocked. Ecom's request is invalid. Okay, I'm not quite sure what's happening here. I know I set this up yesterday, and consent screen, ecom. I mean, I can go through and create a new one. Oh. I thought I 100%
Yeah,
did this.
you know, Riggs,
Okay.
I'm having similar issues here as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know what could be going on.
Okay. So let's try this
I swear I
one
had this
last
yesterday.
time. One last time. If it doesn't work, we'll you know, I know I tried it and it worked fine. So I'm gonna go clear my history.
Yeah, I suppose the lesson here, folks, is this is what happens when you do a live demo. Sometimes things
Right.
just kind of blow up on you.
Yeah. All right. So let me copy that again, the URL, and give it one more shot if it doesn't work. All right. So I'm going to sign in. And just for kicks, I'm going to go with a different browser this time. Let's see if that helps. Let's go with Safari. What the heck? Okay. So let me try that. Okay, and log in. If it doesn't work, we'll give up. Okay, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I don't know if you got there, but we will try to fix this. I have no idea. I did application.yaml. I updated the client ID in secret. Just make sure that there are no. Yeah, that's good. All right, one last thing that I'm gonna try, and then it's always disconcerting if it doesn't work, right? So what I'm gonna do is, I've seen this happen before, which is, all right. I'm going to do a clean before I run it, because I've seen this happen. It takes the previous, and I'm going to start it. Stop me anytime if I'm taking too much time.
No, you're good, Riggs. You're good. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of what might be going on with mine as well here.
And hopefully this basically definitely refreshes the client ID in the secret. So you know, hopefully this is gonna fix it.
Yeah, that's the same.
All right, let me go back to the application. Okay, it's working. I'm going to try to log in. Okay, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Should work. But let's move on from the single sign-on. You can look at the Swagger. Okay, to look at the Swagger, all that you need to do is I know it's listed here somewhere. Okay, so let's copy this and look at that. Okay, so again, you know, just follow the instructions. It should work. And you can see the preview here, or I can just print it out here and
Yeah, unfortunately, Riggs, I think we need to just move on at this point.
So I moved on to Swagger, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this again, the same URL, but with Swagger UI and index.html will give you the Swagger. Okay, so if I add the URL, should hopefully give me my Swagger. And you can see here, you have the order service, the user card service, the price service, and the card product service, and so on. So you can kind of browse through this. Let's see. And then, you can essentially, it shows the sign on, which I'm going to try to fix when Aaron is talking. Okay. And then finally, what you can do is you can use Pulsar. You can do a source, and you can basically what you can do is essentially do what's shown here, which
without a order being in there, I mean it should run at least as long as the properties for Pulsar are correct.
Yeah.
But it won't move in order, of course.
Right. Okay, and all that I do is run this, which is Maven clean install, right? So let me do this
Yep.
and see. Okay, so this is gonna bring a little bit more stuff. Oh, it didn't bring anything. Okay, that's good. And then all that I do is I run this Java jar. Okay, hopefully that's generated. And what this is doing is it's waiting for an order to come in. Okay, and let me try that order, which probably is not going to work, but let's give it a shot. Okay, and I'm going to put a data stacks hoodie, add to cart, and if I go to the cart, I have a service error. So it probably not going to work. And we'll try to fix that as we go along. Because of, again, the same, user ID. But moving back, essentially the instructions will talk about how to, actually do an order. And what Pulsar is doing is waiting on a particular topic. And in this case, I think we're looking at pending orders topic, right? And when there is a message in the pending orders, it's going to come back and tell you what that particular message was. Okay.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And is there any other instructions that I missed?
I think that's about it. Yeah, I'm really at a loss here too for why I can't get mine to run either. It's just really odd.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, given the time regs, I think we just need to close up and then run to the quiz. Otherwise, we're not going to finish in time.
Exactly.
So
but
sorry, folks, you get to watch us blow up here live.
Yeah, the instructions should work, and if you try it and you still have a problem, let us know and we'll try to fix that. If anybody's already tried it,
Constant Learner is getting the same exception I am, that JWT not valid.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's happening at the ASTRA connection, not at single sign-on. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so we'll have to move on from that. Apologies, folks, but yeah, sometimes this happens.
Okay.
I suppose the one slide that we haven't talked about yet is that's worth mentioning is really the order processing system, and really what we're using Pulsar and ASTRA streaming for. So the idea, as I'm seeing Regs tab through all his applications here,
Sorry about that.
is to have the website place an order and it puts it on the pending topic, and then your order processor is what kind of simulates like a robot or a person in a forklift driving around the warehouse to pick the products out of the different bins, and then it moves to the picked topic, and then the order ends up on a conveyor belt where somebody's like got the items coming in and they're putting everything in a box and packaging it up and sending that out to one of the trucks, and maybe the delivery truck, maybe your order goes across a couple of trucks, or maybe there's an airplane in the middle. But eventually the driver of the truck pulls up in front of your house, takes the package, puts it on your doorstep, and that moves it to the completed topic. So that's really what that order processor is all about doing, is just kind of simulating the business units that go into like order fulfillment. All right. Yep. Talked about ASTRA streaming, no touch scalability, Pulsar as a service. All right. Yep. And demo hands-on. We tried that. Oh, this is in theory how single sign-on should have worked if we could have gotten to that point. But as you know, technical difficulties galore today. Other things as far as to consider when building a website. Remember that when you're working with currency, to use like big decimal in Java or decimal in Cassandra. Otherwise, there are all kinds of like estimating and rounding errors that happen. This is a great website, HTTPS 0.315 zeros 4.com. That'll actually talk about this as well as how to reproduce this error with floating point types in many different kinds of languages. So it's actually kind of a fun site to go to be honest. As Rags mentioned, remember, we're using HTTP, not HTTPS. Make sure if you're running a certificate where you're handling user data, running a website where you're handling user data and taking orders and payments and things, that you use a TLS certificate from a valid, certificate authority. That's always a plus. And then, of course, tax calculation, do not attempt it on your own. Use a tax software package that'll take your local laws into consideration. So that's also going to be quite important. And then the only other thing I have is, make sure you're never storing passwords in clear text. They're always hashed. Java has this bcrypt password encoder object that you can use. And the cool thing about that is it will hash passwords as they're coming in. And then when you want to do a comparison, you compare the raw to the hash, and really what it does behind the scenes is just hashes the raw and compares the hashes, which is what you want to do. You don't ever want to be looking at or dealing with or storing plain text passwords. All right, I think we're free to go to Menti.
All right, good. I'm back. All right. Let's go to Menti. This is the opportunity to win swag. We have quite a few people, so it's going to be a fun Menti today. So, feel free again to join Menti. If you already have the code, I'm going to bring it up in a second, but, almost there. All right, let's go to Menti. All right, this is quiz time, guys. 2908-4156. Or you can do the QR code.
Yeah. Let me hit the hit Nightbot there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Put Menti. All right. So it should be on the chat as well. Okay. With that said, let's see how many people are. Yeah, there are quite a few people joining. I'll give it a few more minutes.
Hey, yeah, there are a lot of people left out
Yeah.
there. Hey, thank you everyone who stuck with us all the way to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all the best. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. What should I wait for? Wait for a few more, or should I go ahead? We have 20.
I think we might be all right. This is a lot of people on, and
Yeah.
I don't see any more streaming in. So yeah, I think you're okay.
Okay, a few more. Let's give it like maybe try to hit like a. What's your favorite number? 27, 31. What is your favorite number?
Yep, there's
31.
one.
I like 31. I like prime numbers, but maybe we won't get there. We'll see. Okay, we're almost there. Give it some more. Well, we lost one. All right, almost there. I mean, this is the time I feel like I'm going in an auction or something like that. 31, come on. Okay, it's 29. Which is good enough. All right, you guys ready? Again, don't look at the YouTube because it has a little bit of a lag.
Yep.
We are almost there. I'm gonna wait for
Oh,
one
someone
more.
else, hey.
I want 31, my prime number. Yeah. All right, let's go. Answer fast, but most importantly, answer correctly. Why is ASTRA a better choice for e-commerce than an RDBMS? Answer the one that's most appropriate.
Yeah, so scalability, data distribution,
All of them
region
are.
or geographic awareness. Yeah.
All
Or
of them.
Yeah. Hey, there we go.
All right. All of you are actually right because it can be any of those, right? All right. So let's see how the leaderboard is.
That was a gimme.
Yeah, that was a gimme. Exactly. Yeah. Let's see the leaderboard. Who was the fastest here? Was it Automad? Is that how you say it? Automad. Yeah. But again, everything very close, right? It could be anybody's game right now. Okay, so, all right. Moving on. Next one. Okay, are we ready? Question 2 of 5. I'm going to start the countdown. Answer fast, but most importantly, answer correctly.
Yeah, so what is the importance of the partition key? I'm pretty sure we had a slide on this.
Yes.
Hey, there we go.
All right, we got 19 people. It could help support access patterns. Do you want to talk about that a little bit as well? Because it's really not about the third normal form all the time. You don't want the use cases to kind of work for the data that you already have. It's really about kind of modeling or shaping the data for the use cases that you're going to service, right? So it definitely helps support the app access patterns or the use cases.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's see if the leaderboard is shaken up here. Looks like it might be a little different. Who was the fastest? Arvind Kumar was the fastest, but Patricia has the lead. But it could be anybody. Ormad was displaced from number 1 to number 5, but still could climb back in. All right, question 3 of 5. Which part of the primary key keeps data ordered within a partition? I think, again, we talked about this a little bit, maybe not too much.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I said those exact words.
Okay, fantastic. Fantastic.
Now that I read that.
Yeah. But I think a few people got it wrong. So it's the clustering key. So you have the primary key, which essentially goes to the actual node where the data is. And then within the node, you have, essentially an order within that, right? So that's really what it is.
Yep.
So for the last few, I'd forgotten to turn on the music. So I'm going to turn on the music. And maybe the music will help you guys to take the lead. All right. Okay, let's see the leaderboard. like Patricia got this wrong, but still could come back. Prasad, M83. He's on top. Automat comes back again. Climbs back again. Very negligible difference between Prasad and Automat. 3 points. So anybody's game. Patricia, you're still on the board. Williamson, Fish, Batman. Wow, some cool, cool handles here, right? Any of you can win it. Syntax, right? That's also pretty cool, right? Okay, moving on. Next one. Question 4 or 5. So we have 2 more. So sharpen your pencils. Be ready.
All right. Technology that powers event-driven messaging and streaming in ASTRA.
What the heck is that? Is it all of the above? Or is it Apache Flink or Apache Pulsar or Apache Spark? It's some Apache, maybe. I think.
I'm pretty sure we talked about this a lot.
Yeah. Cool. You did get Pulsar.
Hey,
if
Pulsar,
you want to talk,
right.
if you want to talk a little bit about Pulsar, well, I'm still trying to debug. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to say that that message publish and subscribe paradigm is what we were using for moving the orders around the business behind the scenes, and it really does kind of help that with message delivery guarantees and message ordering as well too. So yeah.
Perfect. All right.
All right, so let's go to the leaderboard.
Leaderboard. Oh, looks like a lot of shake-up. Interesting. It's always fun when there's a lot of shake-up. DS was the fastest.
To be honest.
Wow. But
There we
Prasad,
go.
M83, still holds on to the lead, right? He was in the lead last time as well. Automat, still possible. Patricia, constant learner. You're still on the board, so you never know. You're the last one. Let's see how it goes, right? Okay. Ready for the last one? Question 5
All
or
right,
5.
let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Okay, let me hit the enter. Get ready. I'm going to start the countdown.
Messaging pattern we used when we involve a serverless broker to distribute messages for the receiving side. What's funny is I think I just said this like a minute ago.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Lots of people got that one right.
Perfect. Okay. Do you want to talk about why it could be confused with the message queue, or?
And that's a good point in that a messaging queue would kind of help for it's one of those things that helps for like transient data. If you have things that are going to be moving around. The thing with a publish subscribe pattern though is that I think with Pulsar, what makes it a little different from some of the others is that it like pushes a message out to the consumer, and you can also have different types of consumer subscriptions, so that you could have multiple consumers working on reading the same messages, or if you want you could just make it an exclusive and have a single one reading, but really that publish subscribe paradigm is what helps us with that delivery guarantee. So yeah, that's that.
All right. I think we're ready to announce the winner. So remember, the first 3 are gonna win swag. We are able to ship it anywhere. It used to be that you would send mail, but now we have a form where you can go in and put in your details, and we can ship it to you wherever.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The point is, you have to take a screenshot of not what's coming through YouTube, but what's on your phone or whatever device you used, and keep that handy. So if you're number 1, number 2, number 3, just take a screenshot. Okay. So with that, let's see who the leader is. Na, 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 na. All right, Prasad, you made it, man.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. But Antonia and Ormad, very close indeed. I've never seen it this close. Really, 14 points. Really,
I know,
really
that
close.
that is crazy close.
Yeah, crazy close. Okay. Again, if you want to take, I'll leave this on for a little bit so that you can take a screenshot. But actually, I don't need to, because, take the screenshot anyway at this point on your devices. Okay. And with that said, you can put in any.
We can move on. Actually, yeah. Oh, do we have a survey question?
What would you like most? What should we improve?
I suppose we could improve on having like a technical portion that actually works.
But that's the whole thing of these workshops, right? You just gotta fix it, right? All right, let me stop the music.
No, I know that my own personal like
Music is a little loud.
failure
Okay.
ratio is obscenely bad. So
Do you want to talk about what's next? Maybe for e-com, or music is a little loud. I fixed that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Or thank you, whoever it is. Any other feedback? I'll leave it on for a little bit. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. Good, hopefully. Design was explained pretty well. Anything else you'd like to see improved? Or I like the event. Okay. Challenges, of course. Are these sessions available online? A recording would be great. Absolutely. Yeah, it's the same YouTube link. You just go to the YouTube link and you can kind of go through that again. Okay. And of course, if you go to the GitHub link, you can follow along and do that as well. Precise instructions. Thank you. Appreciate it. So this is great. I think we did reasonably well, right? Maybe add logging against transactions. I think there is some logging. Aaron, you want to clarify? Maybe we can have event time which doesn't conflict with the meal times. Great point.
yeah,
Great point.
Unfortunately, yeah, we're broadcasting these around the world, so it's mealtime somewhere all the time.
No, but the point is well taken, because it's like a 2-hour workshop, and we want to thank you for doing that. Maybe grab a yogurt. The session was amazing. Good interactive session and timely. Keep music a little down. Thank you. DJ didn't do my job, but I'll take care of that next time. I'll keep it down.
Oh, no worries.
Yes. Let's see. So do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we could do that.
Yeah.
Sure. Send it back to me.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, Reg's kind of explained what to do if you're one of the winners. Take a screenshot off your device that says like, "You are the winner," or where you finished on it. So that would be really great. And then the form URL is there, and I also put it inside the chat. All right. Hey, if you need help on this workshop or really anything with, Cassandra, Pulsar, ASTRA, come to our Discord server. Feel free to ask, and we are more than happy to help you. One thing we like to always say is that we're not just here to help paying customers. If you have a problem with one of these open source tools, we are more than happy to help you. We want to see you be successful because really that's what keeps the community going. So check out our Discord. And then, of course, coming up, we have some individual Cassandra days going on around the world. Actually, tomorrow, I believe, is Amsterdam. And then on November 10th, we have a simultaneous Cassandra Day going on in the Bay Area, Seattle, and Houston. So check our events page online for more information on those.
And this is not all.
I'm sorry, we don't have a public Slack. Sorry. Oh, was that Riggs?
Yeah, no. What I was going to say was, like most of our workshops, it's not all work. There is a little bit of play. That's why we have the Menti and all that. And if you are in either in the Bay Area or Seattle or Houston, or you really want to travel for that, you get to watch the Marvel movie Wakanda Forever one day before the rest of the world watches it.
That's right.
So that's on November 10th, whereas the movie is releasing on November 11th. So pretty cool. So and also I know many of you haven't been to in-person events. So it's really cool to come to an in-person event. We have lunch. We have a dinner as well, right? And some popcorn, right? Maybe, or you probably have to get your own popcorn.
Yep. All right. And of course, for those of you who have not heard yet, we are resurrecting the Cassandra Summit. We haven't done one of these in several years.
Yeah.
So I am so excited to participate in one of these again. It's in San Jose at the McHenry Convention Center, March 13th and 14th, 2023. So mark the date. We'd love to see you all there for sure.
Absolutely. Again, great to be back in person, and hopefully, everything is going to work out for March 13th and 14th.
Hey, free lunch. Now I'm coming. That's funny. All right. And, lastly, I put together a page with some quick links, resources. The GitHub to the repo that kind of backed this is at the top there. And you can also find it by doing !GitHub in the chat. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're on our DataStax Devs YouTube channel already. But I must have left that in there from my talk at ApacheCon. Of course, you can also check out, Cassandra and Pulsar.apache.org. Those sites have a lot of great information and documentation on the open source projects out there. And then, of course, our Discord server I already talked about. Again, you need help, feel free to run out there and ask for help. We're happy to, we want to see you successful. And that's really about it. So, hey, thanks everyone for, suffering with us here through our technical difficulties. But yeah, it was just really great to, get everybody out here and, hope you're all successful and, thanks for coming.
Yeah. Thank you again for coming. Please come back to our workshops. We have one next week, which is about Quine and really a very relevant use case about password spraying attack when the whole world is being attacked, right? Something that's pretty useful. We have a partner, Quine, who's going to actually participate in Cassandra Days as well.
Yep.
But you can get a sneak peek on what they're going to talk about tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, next week. We have other workshops coming up as well. Just check it out, and we'd love to have you back. And thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Imagine a being gifted with powers from the goddess of Cassandra, who grew those powers until she could multiply at will, move with limitless speed, and unmask hidden knowledge. With those powers, she was able to fully understand the connectedness of the world. What she saw was a world in need of understanding. From that day forward, she sought to bestow her powers on all who came into contact with her, empowering them to achieve wondrous feats.